So I just love to think about what is the smallest thing that I've ever done that to someone is the greatest thing that they've ever experienced.
Whew.
We just never know.
Every single individual has a story to tell, and they're great stories that need to be heard.
I want every listener to know they have the ability to change the world.
Welcome to the 1720 Podcast.
What's up, Mountain Movers? Welcome back to the 1720 Podcast. Today's guest comes recommended from my good friend Taylor Hale. He sent me this awesome video that was talking about marketing and videos and the power of it and the creativity. And I clicked it and I'm watching it while warming up at the gym doing cardio. And I'm like, Kyle Draper, I'm going to look this dude up. And I started following you and I reached out, I think, on LinkedIn. You're like, let's go, dude. I'm in. And so now you're sitting here and thanks for joining, man.
So it's Taylor's fault. If this is horrible,
we're blaming him.
It's Taylor's fault.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. We
100%.
got a scapegoat.
Yeah. So how we like to kick these off, we're in the storytelling business. I know we're going to get into marketing, the power and the impact from it, but we love telling stories and the come up and those light bulb moments that brought you to where you're at today. But if you're riding up the elevator with somebody going up, what is like the elevator pitch of who is Kyle?
Yeah, the elevator pitch is I am a marketing guy that focuses on helping realtors and lenders leverage the organic aspect of social media. You know, most people see social media and they think about running ads and things like that.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm helping them tell their story, not just be a better storyteller, but realize that the greatest power they have lies in their own story and their own experiences. And that's what I get to travel around the country and help people do.
And you're just living in your purpose and your passion.
Bro,
it's a gift.
I love it. It's incredible.
Yeah. So it didn't start there. What's the come up story look like?
So, man, I grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth, and so at a young age, I felt kind of God's call to church ministry. I was a 5th generation pastor.
Oh wow!
And so my grandfather is been a pastor for 70 years now.
Wow!
And so I spent my 20s as a youth pastor in Plano. Really thought I would pastor my whole life. And right around my 30th birthday, I just felt God go, we're doing something different.
Yeah.
And he pulled me completely out of ministry. And so that it's been a wild ride, man.
Yeah.
But I'm also, I got to get this in. I'm married.
Yep.
13 plus years now to my incredible wife, Lana. We have 2 kids that are in the world and a third one that's still in the belly.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks, man. And so I got a 10-year-old, almost 8-year-old, and then one on the way that'll be here in May. And man, they're the greatest joys in my life.
So 5th generation pastor, what does growing up look like? Is it real tight, like structured, like you have to show up to church, like all that? And does that eventually turn into a want? Like, you know, you're following them from a have to a want to because you're following God?
Yeah, you know, I think everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
I mean, there were not options. You know, I tell people, like, I played baby Jesus when I was 2 weeks old in the church Christmas pageant.
We got a manger,
you know?
Jesus.
So from 2 weeks on, I had to be there. We didn't have a choice. But you know what I think the difference was for me, when I talk to people that are like, gosh, I hate church or I hate God, my parents always made me go. The common denominator that I see in a lot of those stories is their parents weren't living what they were pushing on them in the religiousness of church.
Yeah, I follow that.
For me, man, it was the opposite. I mean, my parents were what they said they were.
Parents walk the talk.
You know? And so did they make us go? Yes. But was there also a lot of evidence that our lives were better because we kept showing up to this place? 100%.
Yeah.
And so it helped me not waver as I got older because man, I wanted what my parents had.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted their relationships with Christ. I wanted their relationships with each other for the day that I have a wife. And so it just made it easy. There's never been one day where I looked back going, that was the worst.
Yeah.
You know, it was awesome.
So I grew up not in church, and you fast forward to today, and I'm in it, and I'm in a really good season spiritually. And I tell people often that one of the main drivers to keep showing up is exactly the testimony you just shared. That my 5-year-old girl, I want her seeing the reps, seeing us be changed, have God be center of our life. Because when I fail her, and my wife fails her, and her friends do, does she have something to turn to?
Yeah.
You know, I want her to have that network, to be rooted in her faith, because when I was lost, I was lost. You know, and maybe those valleys in her life will be less deep because she has that foundation. I'm at least praying for it, man.
Yeah. It's all about them seeing us do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a few weeks ago, like my daughter, who's almost 8, she loves Starbucks. And I love Starbucks. And so we were going to Starbucks, and I like to very regularly pay for the person behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you don't think about, like, I don't do it so she can see me, right? But the other day we went through Starbucks. I paid for the person behind me, and she goes, Dad, I knew you were going to do that. And I just burst into tears, just going, God, I hope that one day when she faces some sort of decision that involves giving, sacrifice, that she'll come back to that Saturday afternoon, right? We're watching Dad pay for a complete, you know, and man, that's what it's about, man. I think too many parents like hope that the church kind of does the work that they don't want to do.
Yeah,
and you're ruining the kid.
Right.
You know, they see right through it. They're way smarter than we give them credit for. So that's a big deal.
They're way smarter. They're way more resilient than we are.
No doubt.
They're sponging things in, and like you see these growth spurts out of nowhere where a sentence gets put together, or like a snapback, and I'm like, I didn't even know that you understood what you just said, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
100%, man.
It's crazy. Right now we're in this phase of trying to show generosity and giving.
Yeah.
And like toys, for example, like, hey, if you don't want to put that back, you know, there's plenty of kids, or if you don't want to play with that anymore, there's plenty of kids that would love to have those toys and stuff. And it's usually like a hard no, but we're going to keep pressing on that.
Yeah.
And we're going to give. And we've done this thing recently where it all actually sparked when some pizzas were delivered to the house incorrectly. And I called the pizza place like, hey, this isn't ours. They're like, just keep it. And there's some homeless people nearby, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna take this out instead of throwing it in the trash. And that sparked a tradition of like when you have a family party and you're trying to give away all those like Christmas and holiday leftovers. It's like, let's package them up and let's go bring some blankets over there. And I want her to see those reps because I want it to be a regular part of her life.
It's powerful, man.
It is.
I think that's great.
So does that mean your dad was a pastor, but then also doing Draper Construction as well?
Yeah. So I guess if somebody called me on it, my dad's never like technically been a pastor.
Yeah.
But growing up at our church, like he would fill in for our pastor 3 to 4 times a year. He would travel and go, you know, speak at other churches where they had friends. So he always filled the role of pastor to me, even though that was never his actual title.
Mm-hmm.
And even to this day, I would still say that he pastors everyone that he knows.
Yeah.
So I still think that it counts to be a fifth generation pastor.
Yeah.
But he didn't actually, you know, sit in the pulpit and, you know, deliver in one place like a normal pastor would.
Did he start the construction company?
He did, but he started it begrudgingly because of me and my brother.
Okay, go on.
So I left church ministry about almost 10 years ago now. And man, I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have like job history, right? Like I quit college to go become a pastor. And so now, like, so I've quit being a pastor, my brother at the time was working for a roofing company, just doing sales. And so he was like, dude, come meet the owner of this company. Like, I think you could be really good at roofing. So I don't have any other options. So I jump in. Long story short, we kind of went sideways with the company that we were working with. And so our only option was to quit and just do something different, or let's start our own company.
Yeah.
And so my dad's pretty easy to convince to do stuff. And so I think in like less than a week from leaving the previous company, we'd fired up what at the time was Draper and Sons Construction.
Yeah. And that was how long ago?
And so that, probably 9 years ago. And so when that happened, my dad and my brother were running Texas. I'd moved to Oklahoma. That's where my wife's from. And so, bro, I am in Oklahoma. All I've ever known is youth pastoring. So I know how to do cool games. I know how to make you eat gross food.
Yeah.
And now I'm on an island in a state where I know no one, trying to figure out sales, marketing, learning how to climb on roofs. It was freaking nuts.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what I needed for God to truly like humble me, because I was such a fish out of water.
Yeah.
And so learned all this, sales, marketing, right? All that good stuff. That company began to grow. It's still in business today, doing incredibly well. So then when I stepped down about 5 years ago, my dad was like, well, it doesn't really make sense for it to be called Draper and Sons.
Yeah.
And
okay, that makes sense.
And
now.
Draper and Son doesn't really have as great of a ring to it.
Yeah.
So I think it was about 5 years ago where they just were like, let's just remove Sons and let's just be Draper Construction.
Yeah. And that's the small world moment that I had.
Yeah.
Knowing the Draper and Sons after, like doing some research, and I'm like, wait a minute. Jake Lamar was a Young Constructors Council guy.
Yep.
Salt of the earth dude.
Yep.
And that's the company represented. I was like, there's no way that's the same company.
Same one.
And we met in this building.
Wild.
I know, man. It's small world stuff. I want to go back. So
what's up, Jake, if you're listening to this?
This is going to cause me to reach back out to him. I haven't talked to him in years.
Good.
Yeah.
He's awesome, man. I love that guy.
He welcomed me into his home. He welcomed me into his small group. He welcomed me to his church. You want to talk about a dude that walks the talk and just kind and, man, good
That's
people.
Right. 100%.
I'll never forget that. So now I'm definitely going to send him the episode.
Good.
Okay, youth pastor.
Yeah.
Okay, so several months ago, I was telling you offline, I started serving Wednesday night services. And it's called Switch at Life Church. It's 6th through 12th graders. It's not necessarily my calling, but I wanted to get more involved in church. And it was the least intrusive option on my family. I didn't want to rob the weekend from them.
Yeah.
It starts Sunday night, so I can go home from work, play with the daughter, eat dinner with the family, say goodbye, and then head out to church. And so I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Come on.
These kids are lunatics.
Bro, you have no idea.
They are. So I got the short straw, I think it's called, and I got assigned 6th graders, man.
Yes.
And these kids were raging in this room. And so somebody, they left, and I was like, what was that? And that happened for several weeks, and somebody had to open my perspective to be like, look, their parents are telling them what to do all day.
Right.
Their teachers are telling them to sit down, be quiet, fall in line. We cannot be that for them as well. We got to kind of keep this more open and fun. But it's really hard to try to get a message across to especially 6th graders. I think I got fired from 6th grade. You could get fired from volunteering. I'm in 8th grade now, and it's completely different.
Yeah? In a good way or a bad way?
For me, good way.
Okay.
Because I'm Mr. Leadership. I'm Mr. Let's talk goals and principles. And the 6th graders are like, what are you talking about? The 8th graders can kind of relate a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's super important. If I had those reps going into it of going to that as a 6th grader, it probably would have changed my trajectory. And if they're showing up consistently, that is half the battle.
Yeah.
But what did you see win in that? What when you got into it, did you kind of have that overwhelming moment like, whoa, what is this? Or did you see it coming because you grew up in it?
No, I don't think anybody's ready to be to be unleashed on by teenage kids. Anybody that says they are, they're lying.
Mm-hmm.
So what I learned the most is like through that season is most of those kids, they just want attention.
Yeah.
So sadly, they know they get attention when they're loud, when they're crazy, when they're disobedient. So a lot of their parents have trained them, like, as long as you're good, I'm not going to really pay much attention to you. But if you need attention, do something bad, and then I'm going to come running over. And so what I love the most, like I loved our sixth graders.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really want anything from you other than to just pay attention.
Yeah. Do you see me?
You didn't have to act cool, right? Like you get into the 7th and 8th grade, and now they're kind of learning that they can like judge people. And man, the 6th graders, like, if you just get in their world and you play the games with them, be loud with them, you're going to look up and a month later, like they're going to be asking to come to your house because they want to have a Madden party or play Call of Duty, And so that's the biggest thing, is to just be engaged in their idea of fun, as opposed to just ask them, be quiet, come over here and sit down.
Yep.
And I think if we're not careful, we can get too legalistic with like, we got to get a lesson in.
Yeah.
When sometimes like
is he loved?
They just need to rage and know that the adult that's there while they're doing that loves them, accepts them, isn't trying to change them. It's powerful, man, when I think we can do it that way.
Yeah, I had to check myself quickly and like go through the grace period, like give these kids some grace. What would you be doing as a punk 6th grader?
Right.
I would have been the worst in that church. They would have had my poster on the wall, like, all children welcome minus Kevin.
Right.
He's a heathen.
Yeah.
He's not allowed.
Yep.
And so it was a good framework to go back in and be like, man, just enjoy this time.
So I didn't tell you this before we started, so it's not in our notes, but when I was in 9th grade, God put it on my heart to start a Bible study.
Wow.
And so my first thought was like, God, this sucks. This is not how to become cool.
Yeah.
I'm a 9th grader going into high school. I can't be the cool Bible study guy.
Yeah.
But he just kept impressing it on my heart. So, long story short, I approached my parents. Hey, God wants me to start a Bible study. I don't know how to teach the Bible. Will y'all teach it? And I'll just get people there. So we, over 6 years, my 4 years of high school, and then my brother's 2 years after me, we would have at times over 150 teenagers in my parents' living room.
What?
Having church. And to this day, I will run in to people from high school. My parents will run in to friends of ours from high school, and they'll say, we weren't there for the right reasons. We were there for the Chick-fil-A. We were there for the Papa John's pizza. We were there for the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
But now that I'm married, now that I have kids, now that I'm trying to be a good adult, like, I still think back to things that y'all said during those Bible studies. And it's unbelievable because, dude, those nights, like, it was like we would have Fight Club in the backyard after church was over. Like, people getting knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, the cops got called several times.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were times where, like, it just felt like, are we just encouraging the craziness that we already are?
Yeah.
But, man, we so undervalue and underestimate, like, truly what the Holy Spirit is capable of. And so that if I can just get a little bitty seed in your life somewhere,
yeah,
the Holy Spirit's going to take that thing and do a whole lot more with it than me going, man, I only got through half the Bible study. I suck as a... Dude, if the God that I say is God can move mountains, can raise people from the dead, he can't do something with the 3 minutes of the Bible study that you got out?
Yeah.
So I think we underestimate it a lot.
That's a word for me right in this moment, because I think I'm one of those, like, not instant gratification, but I want to see value in the effort that I'm putting in.
Yeah.
And so when I'm teaching a kid in that moment, I'm like, it's not clicking. And like, I get worked up about that. But you're right, man. That's an investment into a bank account that could come many years down the road. And I probably won't know about it, and that's okay, as long as it changed that person.
Or you'll get a call 20 years from now of some random kid that's like, hey, will you do my wedding? And you're going to be like, who were you?
Yeah.
Because in your small opportunity, you just being present had a profound impact in their life.
I'm guessing that's a actual testimony.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's moving the needle. And we talk about, that's a common thread in this podcast, of those small moments that make an exponential impact.
Yeah.
And that person that changed somebody's trajectory doesn't even know they did it. They don't remember the experience. That Chris Cassidy came on. He was the NASA astronaut I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And somebody to get him into the Navy spoke something to him and allowed him to take this test or something like that. And then they fast forward to one of his shuttle launches, and he invited that recruiter to the party of Chris launching into space again. And they did a special ceremony for the guy. He has no recollection of Chris Cassidy.
Wow.
And he didn't know why he was invited. He didn't know why he was getting on the stage.
Gosh.
He's just doing his job.
Yeah.
And so never discount that.
We just never know.
Yeah.
Right? The Bible even talks about, like, you never know if you're entertaining angels. And so I just love to think about, like, what is the smallest thing that I've ever done that to someone is the greatest thing that they've ever experienced?
Whew.
We just never know.
Yeah.
You know, we have no idea. And I was on a podcast this morning, and I was talking about how, like, when I was a youth pastor, I grew, like, it was at a big mega church. We were one of the biggest youth groups in the country, right? With all of our campuses, and I grew incredibly arrogant, but I couldn't really see it until I was gone.
It shifted to spotlight on me type of thing.
Yeah. And so part of what that's really changed in my life over the last 9 years since leaving church ministry is, God put me first into roofing, where I'm 6'3". At the time, I was like 350 pounds, climbing on people's roofs.
Yeah.
Like, I was doing more damage while I was assessing the damage than there would have been if I wouldn't have been up there. And so God threw me into this industry where he's like, you're going to learn how to have some humility. You're going to learn all of this stuff. And so now, like, I try to do my best living my life that if I'm out speaking, the janitor that I might pass walking into that room at some point has something to teach me.
Yeah.
And it just changes your outlook and the way you approach and address people, because I don't walk around going, man, y'all are so lucky that I'm here. Y'all are so lucky.
You got a spotlight because I'm walking in this room.
Like, people get shocked when, like, I'll speak at a big event and then, like, I'm stacking chairs after.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, you're the speaker. I never want something to ever grow to the place where, like, I'm too big to do something small. And that was a huge, like, that's what roofing taught me.
Yeah. That's such a powerful word. And that's something that we face in construction constantly, is like that story is another example of, like, okay, not that all else failed, but I don't have a degree. I don't know what else to do. So I'm going to resort to construction. And we're really trying to change that narrative to show, like, man, this could be a very good opportunity for you. If you don't know what you're doing, this industry is more than swinging a hammer. It's more than shingle and roofs. I've done both of those. They are hard work. But people are made for it. They're made to do that.
Right.
And because they get such a sense of accomplishment from seeing that finished product.
Yeah.
And I want to find people that sense of purpose and pride where it doesn't have to be your second option. It doesn't have to be your last resort. Like, military or construction, I'm kind of heading down the wrong path. Which one is going to lock me up? You know? That's what we got to get out of. And hopefully we can reach the parents and and the students and show them that, man, there's a million office positions that you could do in construction.
Yeah.
There's lucrative opportunities that could change your life, and you can use it as a vehicle to achieve a bigger purpose. 100%.
Well, why do most roofing companies have to knock doors? Because they actually suck at the people part.
Yeah.
If they were good at serving people, if they truly valued serving people, they'd get to a point where they're like, man, we've roofed 1,000 homes from door knocking. Now, if we'll just love and serve these people, right? If we'll make it less about us and figure out like how can we change the value we're bringing to the table for them, you might never feel like you worked again because people are just feeding you constantly now because you actually served. And that was part of what I loved about being in roofing is people were always shocked, like, you're a roofer? Like, I was climbing all roofs in Tom shoes and, wearing bow ties. And, man, there's so much fun opportunity in the construction space. Like you're wearing a super fun, crazy shirt today.
Yep.
There's a lot of misconceptions out there, I think, about what construction is.
Yep. And we're through this building with Texo. We're on that crusade to try and change that narrative. But, one step at a time, one story at a time, and we'll get there, man.
You absolutely will.
Okay, so 5 years ago, you get this light bulb moment, Coach Kyle journey. Just break that down for me.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a light bulb, but it was something. I did roofing for about 3 years, realized that I don't need to be standing on roofs anymore. And so I started a company with a buddy of mine building websites for realtors. And through building websites for realtors, I quickly realized, actually, that's not even true. I didn't realize anything. I was tired of cold calling them.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. When I struggle, I don't know anything other to do than just pray. Like, that's all I know to do. I'm not smart enough to figure it out on my own. And so I just stopped and was like, God, what am I good at? And what do realtors suck at? And that's my relationship with God. I can say sucks to him, and right? And he loves me anyway. And his response to me was, you're a good communicator. Realtors are bad at social media. Go learn social media and teach it to them. So, being the ignorant person that I am, I picked up the phone. I called the 5 biggest real estate offices in Oklahoma City at the time. They knew me from roofing already. And I was like, hey, I teach a social media class. Can I come teach it? How much is it? It's free. So I booked 5 classes before I even had a class. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew if I gave myself that deadline, I'm on borrowed time to figure it out. So I probably taught 200 plus classes in a 2-year period for free to try and sell them websites. And then finally, about 5 years ago, I looked up and thought, I hate selling websites, but I love coaching and teaching people how to use social media.
Oh, that's so good.
And so I resigned from my company. Everyone thought I was crazy. And here we are 5 years later, and I get paid to travel around the country and teach people how to leverage social media, and it's crazy. Yeah. And so, Kevin, all the time, people are like, oh, Coach Kyle, like, what do you coach? And I'm like, not what you think.
Yeah.
I'm not a sports coach.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be an interesting conversation for you. I coach Facebook. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm not very interested. But it's been just such an unbelievable journey because most people don't have a clue how to leverage marketing. They just don't understand it.
The moment there that I picked up is like that hustle, even if it's not something that you want to be doing, but that hustle to do those free classes and show up, you're building reps, right? You're building those reps over and over that if you're anything like me on this podcast journey, initially they stunk.
Oh.
You would have hard stops every 5 minutes. If Stuart wasn't here 100 episodes, if you were episode 19, I would be in a full-blown panic mode.
Yeah.
I would venture off into ADD land. Like, oh, crap, I got to say the next sentence for Kyle. But the reps have helped me become more natural in it, that have now fed other things and speaking. And so you probably didn't see that at the time, but it's like one of those huge hindsight light bulbs. Like, oh God, that's why you put me in all of those rooms,
100%.
those classrooms.
Well, and now it's fun, because now I do get to go on bigger stages and bigger events. And so people are going, dude, you got to tell me, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
To get these opportunities. And I just laugh because I'm like, you don't want to do, like, go be a pastor for 10 years where you get to preach to 12-year-olds.
Oh, yeah. You got
all
those reps.
So I got a decade of reps being a pastor. And then another 2 years of just going, like, I remember my wife, like, I'd come home and my wife would be like, how was your day? I'd be like, honey, I taught 3 classes today. She'd be like, well, how much money did you make?
$500.
Well, like, one of them gave me a used Starbucks card that still had like $8 on it.
That's pretty cool. 2
you
lattes.
know? So, like, I remember the first time somebody offered me $100 to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I won the lottery.
Right.
Because now I can actually say, like, I'm a professional speaker because someone's paying me to do it. But it's the reps. And without those reps, like, we're never ready.
Yeah, and it was getting you ready for your true calling and purpose.
100%.
And so what are you saying at your events now? Like, I got the opportunity to watch your video.
Yeah.
Why, what is it and why is it so important?
Dude,
in any business.
So the most important thing, an aspect of social media and marketing right now is understanding the concept of social proof. Social proof is changing everything because now we trust the opinions of strangers more than we trust our closest friends and family.
Ooh.
And when people go, how's that true? Think about the last time a friend of yours recommended a restaurant and you just got in the car and drove there. Or a friend recommends a brand of shirt to you and you're like, done, bought it, got 4 of them, without going to the website, checking out a review, going to Yelp, looking up a picture of what do the fajitas look like, what does the bowl of queso look like, and very quickly, if I'm looking around and somebody's like, found a toenail in our queso, who's an idiot?
Yeah.
The internet or your friend?
Right.
My mind starts going, my friend went here?
Yeah.
Why?
He likes toe jam.
It's social proof.
Yeah.
And so now, Kevin, it doesn't, like, how good you are in real life doesn't even matter anymore. It's how good are you online. Because if I tell people, oh, dude, have you listened to the 1720 podcast? Like, do you know Kevin? Man, he's awesome. They're going to go to the internet. They're going to Google you. And if they don't like what they see, I'm a moron for saying you're great.
Yeah.
Right? We've got to have that validation. And so if there's one thing that I think construction can understand, that, like, they need to understand, is getting over the thought of, like, well, we don't really need social media. Like, that's not really how we do our business.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be true from just, like, looking at Facebook going, like, I don't think I'm going to, like, post a picture of a roof on Facebook and get a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But everyone that's hearing about you is going to go online. And so you may not do stuff every day on social that brings you direct leads back, but you're losing opportunities that you never knew you had by choosing to not be present where everyone is.
It's so true. And there's different posts. So specifically in construction, or at least in my past, I was in control of our marketing, and you could post a pretty new building that would attract a certain crowd of people to like and engage. But then, like, to show off, like, hey, we're a fun group. Like, I remember one where it was Halloween and everybody was dressed up and we came out with a fog machine and Guns N' Roses, like a starting lineup, like the 90s Bulls, and everybody's cheering and celebrating. And you think of somebody in their early 20s entering the job market, looking for their first job. They don't know much about construction. They don't know much about your company, but they go and find that post. And they're like, I want to hang with those dudes.
Yes.
That might be the difference maker between you going from company A that you interviewed for, maybe they offered $5,000 more to coming with us.
100%.
Because what they're valuing now is value. They want to be valued. There's more than dollar bills on it.
Well, and in this next generation of workers, like, they're so inclusive and they care about other things. And so you might have people that will actually take less money from you because you're showing them that they're going to have fun every day.
Yeah.
And they value fun over just making more money. And so you add in what you just talked about, like the fun stuff, but then you start showcasing that, every year we pick a new nonprofit. And so once a month you showcase the nonprofit, you interview one of their staff, you do a video of one of their, weekend events where they're raising, money for homeless people or collecting toys for children, with some sort of illness. And so now you add this like philanthropic part, and that's a whole nother level.
Right.
So that when I'm just stacking construction companies up, if they all check the boxes they should check, you're credible, you do quality work, right? It's all the ancillary stuff that most companies go, that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's going to ultimately win.
Yeah.
And that's why this is so important.
And you're building that library up, man. And those are all the do's. What are the don'ts? Where are people missing the mark?
Man,
on their social media marketing.
To me, the biggest don'ts are that when you do show up, you're just beating your chest and talking about how great you are. I like in my industry, it's the most prevalent with realtors and lenders, where like every month they're literally telling you how many dollars worth of houses they sold. I hate it. It's horrifying, right? Like no other industry does it, but we are good at like, check out the new roof we just did. Check out the new building we just finished. And though those are valuable in moments, for a lot of companies, that's all they know how to post about.
Yeah, that's true.
So I go to your page and everything is about you, which doesn't help me think that you're going to be a great place for me to work or a great company for me to choose to do whatever task I need done.
Yeah, and can you align your social media campaign around your core values? Like if you're claiming you're about your people, like are you celebrating milestones? I can think of companies off the top of my head that they do that regularly.
Yeah.
Like they're the beating of their chest represents their people. It has nothing to do with sales volume, revenue, money made, awards. It's look at these people. Look at the amazing people that work here.
Right.
That's powerful.
It is powerful.
Like even if that power won, right? Like that person that I would just like to celebrate Steve, 10 years with the company. He's been an awesome mentor to other people in that life or in this life at the company. Steve gets to go home to his family, show this post to his spouse, his kids.
Right.
And then like that fly in the wall moment at that kitchen table, they're not cussing the company. They're like, wow, what a milestone day. I feel valued.
Right.
Like that, maybe that makes another 10 years for Steve.
Yeah. It's all about storytelling. We can, when I'm working with realtors, their common language is sell houses. And so if they can just simply shift sell houses to serve families, you can brag about, I sold 100 houses last year. That's fine. But if you say I served 100 families last year, it changes the way we see that post now. Right?
Like testimonials of those families and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I think we just need to take a little bit of extra time and go, is there a sentence that needs to get added to this post to maybe add a little bit more information, to make people care just a little bit more? And it gets a whole lot more traction when we do that. The other don't, I guess this would be kind of a reverse don't. But anybody that's not leveraging video, that's the biggest don't of all.
That's not leveraging video.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
That video marketing right now is the most powerful tool on the planet. And so not being present on video, like you could have beautiful photos, But now if I show up on your social media, there's really no connection for me at a deeper level. And so if I could see like CEOs of construction companies, this is what I've been trying. Maybe my dad will listen to this and I'll put him on blast and maybe he'll actually do it.
Yeah.
But my dad's an unbelievable human being all across the board. Husband, father, business owner, friend, everything. He needs to be, as the CEO of Draper Construction, he needs to be present on social media, talking about leadership, talking about business principles, so that when people go look them up, they don't just see quality work, they see quality humans.
Yeah.
Because that's what ultimately draws us in.
Especially in Texas construction, man, it's a relationship business.
100%.
And like they want to know who they're doing business with.
Yeah.
And you wonder why new people enter the market with energy, new ways of thought and creative ideas. And in an interview, that they have two choices. That one that came in with all that energy, they felt like they were part of the team in the interview, or that team that took it for granted because they've been there forever in the market, and that's what's going to sell them the job.
Right.
We've seen a shift right now.
Yeah.
That used to work. B used to work, and now A's kind of taking off and grabbing market share.
100%.
I'm sure the same in realtors and in that space.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's huge.
So what's the easiest way for a company that doesn't know how to do this to leverage this video and create content that's worthy of following and get the pings and dings?
Yeah, it's a great question, Kevin. So most companies, they're really scared because they've like seen the things that are out there, and we're watching young people like booty dance and do all this weird stuff to capture likes and follows and eyeballs. And really, the right content, in my opinion, is the content that shows you guys to be the experts, that shows you to be professional, that shows you to be good leaders. And so we do that best, in my opinion, through teaching. And so the way that I teach this best is to go from long form content to short form content. So what this means, you and I right now, we're recording long form content.
Yep.
So if we were videoing this, you would end up with an hour worth of video where hopefully I said something good, you said some good things. And so this will go in its entirety somewhere.
Yep.
But all the little nuggets where we thought, dude, at like minute 20, we freaking crushed it. And then at minute 41, that was another really good spot. Right there at the end, minute 50 was killer. Well, then now you can go in and extract those micro moments, and now you have short form content.
To repurpose later.
Yeah. Because right now, the most powerful form of video content is TikToks, Reels, YouTube Shorts. It's vertical short video. So most people, they just record short videos, right? So you and I would think of like what leadership principle could I say in 48 seconds? And then I'm just going to record it.
Yeah.
Well, that's super cumbersome. If every day you're trying to have another unique thought, right? So with a podcast episode, dude, you could have just given yourself 10 short videos.
Yeah.
From one setting.
That's a good point.
All right. So I love to coach companies through like, have you ever considered starting your own podcast? Not because you want to be famous. You're not trying to be Joe Rogan, but just because it's just an easy way to capture content. Hey, let's just have a conversation with microphones in front of our face, set a camera up in the corner, and it's easy content. And so that's a super powerful method because it's tapping into YouTube, which is long form content driven, but then it lets us also be present where like I could see 90% of construction companies being like, we're not TikTok, we're not doing TikTok.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, that's a lot of work. But when I'm able to go, no. We're just going to put the short clips on TikTok that come from your other content. Oh, like you already did the work.
Yeah, let us chop it up for you.
Let's get the advantage.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the simplest way to do it. That's also what my company does. And so we take long form video content from our clients, edit it up really pretty for YouTube, and then we create the micro content for all the other platforms. And it's so powerful. I mean, the other day, I spoke for an hour at an event. There was a videographer there that just simply filmed me speaking. And then my team turned that into 16 short videos.
Yeah, now you're good for weeks.
So when people are like, God, how do you do all this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sitting in front of a camera every day. I'm sitting in front of the camera at the right times. And then I have the ability to rip it all up.
Yeah.
That's the power
That's efficient.
of doing this. And honestly, it's really the only way that most companies will ever be effective, because you're not going to train a 55-year-old CEO to go stand in front of his iPhone for 4 minutes a day.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like, they're not, like, my dad is not doing that.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
Under no circumstance.
But
I could get him to do a 12-minute video that then we could chop up into 5 short ones.
Yeah.
That's doable.
Like the structure of this podcast. So we have an opener. No, it starts with something that we pull from you. We bring it all the way up to the front. Then we intro the podcast and then kick it off. That's a perfect example. Like, you see me scribbling notes as we're taking this. And there's a few things that I've highlighted where you said something. I'm like, that could be an opener. That could be an opener.
Yeah.
And if I was to do what you're teaching, those could be their own separate posts.
100%.
Yeah. And that's
I can't believe
powerful.
I've said that many good things.
I got a lot of circles, man.
It's crazy.
That's good stuff. And you might not be on it, but I guarantee you have somebody, whether it's your content or not, that is consuming social media content. So why not harness that power and maybe empower somebody within your company in their early 20s or whatever? They're going to be on TikTok and Instagram, thumbing through it anyway, to go not just create content, but maybe engage in other people's content.
Absolutely.
Because that's kind of a two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah. Any construction company, your salespeople, they shouldn't just be posting on social. They should be using social to comment on other people's stuff, to reply to people's stories. So, like, I have a principle that I teach called the 10-10-10 principle.
Okay.
The 10-10-10 principle is spend 10 minutes a day. During those 10 minutes, comment on 10 people's posts and reply to 10 people's stories.
I like it.
And so what this does is it gives you, every day you do this, it gives you 10 public opportunities for people to see you in the comments of other people's posts. But then it also gives you 10 private conversations every day, because when I reply to your story on Facebook or Instagram, now we're in private message with one another.
Right.
And so in a world of, like, in construction for like local companies, they're selling to people that trust them. And so go show up in their world. Go jump on their post and go, oh my gosh, look how cute your baby is. And go get in people's worlds. But we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We just want to post a picture of a new roof.
Move on.
And then go, I guess, somebody's going to call if they, need a roof. No, they're not.
Yeah.
We're busy. Right? My world, we're about to add a third baby into our world. I don't give two craps about anything you're doing because I'm consumed with enough of my own stuff.
Right. So
if I can just take a few minutes a day to just jump in, and like you're wearing that shirt today, a normal comment would me being like, bro, cool shirt.
Yeah.
But that doesn't warrant a response. So if I would simply add, hey, bro, cool shirt, where do you get it? Now you have to pause long enough to think about Kyle Draper, because you're going to go, oh, dude, I picked it up on this website. And that moment could result in you going, man, I hadn't thought about Kyle in a while, but I've been meaning to reach out to him.
Yeah.
And it was simply because I commented about your shirt.
Yeah.
We overthink how sales needs to work.
Look at I love the 10-10-10 because you don't have to sporadically go through it all day. Just blitz it, right? Like, it's one little blurb on your 8-hour, 10-hour to-do list. Just get in there. I'll feel like a super nerd sometimes when I toggle in LinkedIn from Kevin to Mountain Movers to 1720. I'm interacting with myself, and I'm like,
yeah,
this feels so weird. But like my personal LinkedIn has a larger following than Mountain Mover. So like if I like it, it shows up on mine. But I don't all those people on my page, I don't want to blast them nonstop unless if they're specifically following the Mountain Mover brand, you know?
Yeah.
But I like it, so it just shows up in more spaces.
But see, so we have to consider like reframing, like what does blasting them mean? If you're blasting them, so to speak, as a human, you're not annoying them, right? Like it'd be different if you're commenting and being like, did you check out the last episode? Hey, did you listen to the last episode? Like that's all about you. It's selfish in nature. It will grow super annoying to people.
Yeah.
But if you're blasting people with what they value, dude, they freaking love you.
Yeah.
Because they're like, here comes Kevin. Every time I see Kevin, he compliments me. It makes me feel good about myself. And so now you're the favorite person in the room.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we want to be blasting people because our lives are moving too quick. It's just got to be with the right ammo that's going to serve their needs and not just treat it as a numbers game going, I'm going to probably tick off 100 people, but if I can get to the 10 people I need, that those 90 casualties were worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just reframing, the way we see that.
Yeah, I could see that because to your point, there's marketing that I see out there that I'm like, oh, I don't want to do business with them. Like they've told me what I need to see and I'm probably going to ignore it or like unfollow it or something like that. And the same is true if like they're following for a reason, like they want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So that's a good word.
Well, we might need to quit because I don't know that there's any more good words left in me.
We got to, man. Off air, we talked about a book.
Oh, man.
You just finished that crusade, man. Congratulations.
Thank
you.
you.
2 weeks ago you finished it?
Yes.
So what's it called? What's it about?
So the book is called Rethink Everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it came from, like, one of the keynotes that I do the most is called Rethink Everything. Because so many companies and people have a perverted view of what social media is. And so over my years of coaching and teaching it, I've been able to go, dude, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That is not how, like somebody told me at a conference, like that's what I'm supposed to. So the book is designed to really kind of reframe the mindset that you bring to social media. Because if you don't, you'll just always be the person that hates it. And there's a beautiful side of it when we kind of reshape the way we see it. And so I talk through a lot of different principles that we need to reframe and consider a new perspective on. And it's really meant to be just a short, fun read. You'll be able to read it in a day. It's not crazy heavy.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about it because there's biblical principle throughout. And I guess we'll let the cat out of the bag for your audience. But I was really I questioned if I should do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I chose to do it. And so the very last chapter of the book is really like my faith journey and just showcasing to people that, like, you want to know why I can do social media at a high level? Like, this is why. And it truly comes down to my relationship with Christ and what that opens up for me. And so I'm pretty pumped about it, man. It's gonna be cool.
Congratulations!
Thanks,
I
man.
can't wait to pick it up.
Thank you.
Let us know so we can post it.
Of course,
and because our listeners love books, man. You probably saw it in the prep sheet. People consume books constantly. They want to know what people are recommending. So you might have a different spin on that for like some of the major books in your life that have transformed your life.
Yeah, man. Why would we not want to compound time and go, oh, that guy wrote a book about his 50 years of life and what he would do different?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'd really like to read that today so I don't have to wait 50 years before I know what I want to do different.
Yeah.
So, man, people that aren't reading or listening to podcasts, it's the free knowledge the cheap knowledge, I guess, is not free, but it's powerful.
Which are yours? Like the ones that have rocked your foundation?
So,
or one or
there's a few. The one that my book was tailored after is my all-time favorite, which is called Steal Like an Artist.
Never heard of that.
And bro, Bro dude. I just called you bro dude.
Bro, dude.
What
Because
you'll
of this shirt.
That's right. It is very bro dude, a bro dude-ish shirt. What I'm blown away by in this book, I've probably read it 12 times. It's written to literal artists, painters, drawers, if that's a word, right? So the guy that wrote it is an artist. He wrote it to artists. I was referred to it by a friend of mine. Shout out to Chad Ernest. I'll make him listen to this. And it is just the most profound book ever for marketing. And it's not about marketing.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. And so that book just completely shifted my mindset about a ton of different things. And so I've coached and taught that book all over the country. My book will be formatted in that fashion. I will even be giving credit to the author of that book, Austin Kleon, in my opener, because it changed a lot for me. Another book that really changed me profoundly when I was doing roofing is called The Go-Giver.
So good.
Right? By Bob Berg, John David Mann. And it's written in a fable. So it's different than a traditional business book, right? And man, it's really like who we're supposed to be in Christ written in a business format.
Great point.
You know?
Yep.
I don't know the authors personally, but I'd be hard pressed if they weren't believers, because you could essentially like just plop Jesus' name in there and you're like, is this the Bible or am I reading the Go-Giver?
That's such a great point. Yeah.
You know, so it's just, it's unbelievable. Those would by far be my two favorite.
I agree, man. I don't know the first one, but Go-Giver's transformational. Like, just like if you could take that concept versus givers versus takers.
Yeah.
Like, and you put those two sides of the fence together and you go out in the world and you could very easily spot who's who.
100%.
And we have circles of people that a lot of people, listeners, have read or listened to that book.
Yeah.
And they reference that casually in conversation. Like, have you met so-and-so? Like, oh yeah, he's a giver. And then vice versa.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay. So the very end, how we like to close these things. If somebody just tunes in at the very end, we call it the one big thing. What's the one big takeaway you'd like for our Mountain Mover tribe to pull from this episode? If you had to choose one, I know it's tough. I got 2 pages of notes, so boiling it down to one's tough.
I think the big takeaway for your audience is stop believing that construction is different. If you do not adopt to this digital landscape and realize that the opportunities to win moving forward at some point will cross the online planes, you're a dying company. Whew. Right? You're dying. You can't just make the best gutters anymore. You can't just do the best TPO roof anymore. Like, the best are dying, right? We've watched it through COVID. Some of the greatest humans on the planet are closing their doors. Attorneys, doctors, everybody. Why? Not because they woke up and went, oh my gosh, I'm not good at being a doctor anymore. They woke up and went, oh my gosh, I'm irrelevant and no one knows who I am. And that cannot happen when you know there's ways to get around it. And dude, I think that's the big takeaway.
That's a huge one, big thing, and a good gut punch, and a reminder for those even on the right track that, hey, keep it up. It's worth the effort.
100%.
So how do people reach out to you if they want to learn more, hire you? Where are they going?
My website's kyledraper.com. Very simple. I'm Coach Kyle Draper on all social media platforms. So I know for a lot of the construction companies that listen, they might have to make a social media account to come find me. So please do so.
Yeah.
Or you can just Google my name, and there's enough video content out there for you to find me.
Proof in the pudding right
That's
there.
right.
Awesome, Kyle. Thanks for joining us, my man.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Appreciate you.